In the last week, 31 companies have announced increases to their dividends, and we're starting right here with Chesapeake Energy. They actually go ex-dividend on Monday and have announced an increase of 36.2%. Selective Insurance is also going ex-dividend on Monday and has announced a 7.1% increase from their prior dividend of 28 cents. BOK Financial goes ex-dividend also on Monday, and they have increased their dividend by 1.9%. Another company on the list for ex-dividend on Monday is A10. They have also announced a 20% increase of their dividend. Patrick just raised their dividend by 36.4%. Forward yield is 3.38%, and they're going to go ex-dividend coming up on November 25th and a pay date on December 12th. Marriott just announced an increase in their dividend by 33.3% and an additional authorization to repurchase some of the company's Class A common stock by another 25 million shares, bringing the total repurchase up to 30.8 million shares. CES Energy Solutions is raising their dividend by 25%, and they've got a forward yield of 2.52%. They go ex-dividend at the end of the year on December 29th with a payout on January 13th. Assurant is raising their dividend by 2.9%, giving them a forward yield of 2.22%. They're going ex-dividend at the end of this month on November 25th with a pay date on December 19th. Farmers and Merchants Bancorp raised their dividend by 6.4%, and they've got a forward yield of 1.68. They're going ex-dividend on December 6th with a payout on January 3rd. Pinnacle Bank Shares is raising their dividend by 20%, giving them a forward yield of 3.31%. They're going to go ex-dividend this coming week on November 17th with a pay date on December 2nd. Silvamo is raising their dividend by 122.2%. Forward yield is 2.36, and that company is going to go ex-dividend on January 3rd with a payout on January 25th. Roper is also raising their dividend, but this time by 10%, giving them a forward yield of 0.63%. They go ex-dividend on January 6th with a payout on January 3rd. GCM Grosvenor raises their dividend by 10%. They'll have a forward yield of 4.91%. They're going ex-dividend on November 30th with a pay date on December 15th. Becton Dickinson is raising their dividend by 4.6%, bringing their forward yield to 1.67. They are going ex-dividend on December 8th with a pay date on December 30th. Nordic American Tankers is boosting their dividend by 66.7%, but don't get too excited, it's only 5 cents a share. They do, however, have a forward yield of 6.25%. They're going ex-dividend on December 5th with a pay date on December 20th. Kite Realty is raising their dividend by 9.1%, giving them a forward yield of 4.67%. They go ex-dividend on January 5th and a pay date on January 13th. Atmos Energy is raising their dividend by 8.8%, bringing their forward yield to 2.6%. They go ex-dividend on November 25th with a pay date on December 12th. Lancaster Colony is raising their dividend by 6.3%. Forward yield is 1.67%. They go ex-dividend on December 2nd with a pay date on December 30th. Automatic Data Processing, or ADP as most of us know it, just announced a raise in their dividend by 20%. Forward yield right now for ADP is 2.04%. They go ex-dividend on December 8th with a pay date on January 1st. We're just about halfway through this very long list of dividend increases, and we are on D.R. Horton, who announced this week an increase in their dividend of 11.1%, bringing their forward yield to 1.37%. They go ex-dividend on December 1st with a pay date on December 12th. NBH Holdings announced a raise in their dividend by 8.7%. Forward yield is 2.12%. They go ex-dividend on November 23rd with a pay date on December 15th. Hardwoods Distribution is raising their dividend by 8.3%. Forward yield is 1.4%. They've got an ex-dividend date coming up in January on the 12th, and they've got a pay date of January 27th. InnoSpec also announced a raise in their dividend by 3.2%. Forward yield is 1.23%. They go ex-dividend coming up this week on November 18th with a pay date on November 28th. Aflac just declared an increase in their dividend by 5%, and they announced a 100 million share buyback. They go ex-dividend not until next year in February on the 14th, which is Valentine's Day, and they'll be paying out that dividend on March 1st. Pizza Royalty raised their dividend by 3.7%, which now gives them a 9.01% dividend yield. Ex-dividend date is November 14th with a pay date on November 30th. SiriusXM also announced a dividend increase this week of 10.5%. They went ex-dividend already on November 9th, but those shareholders are going to be getting their payments on November 30th. Autoliv announced a 3.1% increase from their prior dividend, giving them a forward yield of 3.14%. They go ex-dividend on November 21st with a pay date on December 9th. TransAlta announced a 10% increase of their dividend. Forward yield is 1.86%. They go ex-dividend on November 30th with a payout date of January 1st. AAON announced a raise in their dividend by 26.3%, giving them a forward yield of 0.73%. They go ex-dividend on November 25th with a pay date on December 16th. And they just announced that the board of directors has authorized the company to make up to $50 million purchase of the company's common stock. PHX Energy Services raised their dividend by 50%, giving them a forward yield of 5.18%. They go ex-dividend at the end of the year on December 29th with a pay date on January 16th. And last on our list is ARCO. They raised their dividend by 50%, giving them a forward yield of 1.24%. They go ex-dividend on November 21st, and they're payable on December 6th. Now, it was a lengthy list this week, you guys, but make sure you do your research before investing in any of these companies. Take a peek at this video next.